Okay, welcome to my group seminar.
Thanks.
Lovely to have you. As you know, we're talking about this article today, and the title of the article is Learning Style and Adjustment Issues of International Students. Basically, it's about international students in America and how they learn, problems they're having, etc. What do you think adjustment means?
Change.
So, yeah?
Change.
Change.
Make a change.
Modify.
Yep.
Adjustment issues, like change the problems of international.
Yeah, change the problems, or maybe they have to change their learning style, their behaviour. So we'll talk in detail about that. Now, this comes from the Journal of Education for Business, as you can see on the handout, from 1999. So it's a little bit old, but it's not so important. Okay, before we look at the article, let's just discuss some of the issues. I'll give you a couple of minutes. There's two situations there. Please read both of them carefully. Which situation is normal in your country, high school, university, and which one do you like as a student? So I'll give you a couple of minutes to read it. Okay, so Mac, tell us about China. What situation would be normal in most Chinese schools?
Just like the first one, only the teacher say something and the students just take notes or listen teacher what he said, and it's basically no communication with teachers and the students.
Okay.
And I don't think that will help the student to study well.
I'll say you don't like that
Yeah.
style, like the lecture style.
Don't like that.
All right, what about in Saudi Arabia?
In Saudi Arabia is different. It depends on the level of the education. Like in my college, if the teachers is the what they call it, it's following the system or the rules of the education. But some of them they teach the classes, so they encourage them as a family, not as a teacher and your students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of them they follow the PowerPoints, just following the notes, taking notes. Encourage people to speak, to. And yeah, it's very simple, but difficult as well.
So the teacher would know your name?
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah,
you'd have a friendly
usually,
relationship?
in the beginnings, like first week to 2 weeks, it's difficult for them to remember the names. But after this, so on, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be easy for them, and they became like as friends, as a family. So the teacher can excuse you for whatever your mistakes. Sometimes encourage you, sometimes help you with whatever you want.
Okay.
All this stuff.
And what happens in exams in Bangladesh? Do you just memorise information and then repeat it in the test? Or?
Yes, it's like a memorize. We have to. They give some tasks in the classroom, and they give some sheet, and they also we have to memorize from the books as well, and we also in the examination hall we just writing that we have learned in the class, and the teacher have. Sometimes the teacher help us to get details from the books, and they explains and everything what they could, and that's why in education system is good, but we don't have in like a practical in Australia a practical practical education like Australia and USA, but our edition is based on theoretical.
Theory.
Yes.
Oh, right, yeah, we'll talk about that later because that comes up in the article. And what about discussion time? Will you have a chance to discuss with the other students in the lecture or in the tutorial?
In classroom, normally teacher asks the student, but we don't have like group discussion like for few students in situation in one place. We don't have like this, but only teachers ask the students and teachers help the student to encourage the student to respond and to reply the question, to answer the question. Yes.
Okay, so Max said he didn't really like the Chinese style. How about you? Do you prefer more of a interactive style, or are you happy to receive information
Yes,
and analyse it?
yes, we like our student in education system, but as we are a developing country and education providers are looking forward to develop new things.
Okay, to change the system and the
things.
style. Okay, let's move on to the vocabulary. So I've just chosen some of the important words in the article. I don't know if you've had time to think about them or check your dictionary. Just have a quick look at those and we'll go through them one by one. So affective, now this is not effective with an E. Do you have any idea what this means? The article talks about sometimes affective development and affective situations. Yeah, it's not effective like it works well. Affective means related to emotions. Yeah.
Oh man. We call it a different vocabulary.
We do we?
But
Mine
the
is
question is the same.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
You
around
can
the-
have a look at mine.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so yeah, affective means related to the emotions of a person. Now, cognitive is what, have you heard this word before?
Yeah, yesterday I checked.
You checked it? Do you remember it? Related to not emotions, but
Nature,
I have this
mind,
word.
there's a new one.
yeah, this means related to knowledge. Yeah, so the process of gaining knowledge and learning things and understanding things. So you'll hear these words a lot in academic situations. Psychologists might use them. Even teachers will talk about emotional progress and cognitive process, so emotions and knowledge. And auditory, you can probably guess this meaning. What is audio, auditory?
It's something about sounds.
Yeah,
Sounds.
related to sound. So it just means listening. In the article they talk about some students learn well by listening to things.
Some record something.
Okay, so that's auditory. They are all adjectives. And the next one, repertoire. Can you say that? Just repertoire. Repertoire. It's from French, yeah, I think it's from French. Repertoire. Any idea what that one means? A repertoire. If I am, for example, if I am a piano player and I have a good repertoire of skills, what do you think? Yeah, a group of skills in the same area. So if a piano player can play classical piano and jazz piano and different kinds, then they have a wide repertoire of skills. So it's a group of a range of skills of one kind. Maybe a basketball player has a good repertoire of skills. What could a basketball player have? A range of skills.
Range of skills, lots of stuff.
Spin the ball on your finger, very important. It might be a good three-point shooter, a good defender. These are your repertoire of skills. Students also need a repertoire of skills. Yeah, different skills in the same thing. Okay, plagiarism. Oh, we all know this, I guess.
Yeah.
So here, what's your understanding of plagiarism?
Plagiarism is like copying the same style without changing anything.
Yep.
And the other stuff you see your friends, you
Copying
copy
your friends.
from your friends and you just like copy and paste the same style without any changing.
Okay,
Even if you
perfect.
say like you love your mommy, you're gonna paste I love your mommy.
Yeah, you copy from your friend. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's
Mum.
happened before,
Read
like
your essay. All right, so yeah, exactly right. And the article talks about international students, teaching them to understand this idea. Assimilate and acculturate. This is good that we're talking about this, because in today's lecture we talked about the melting pot and the mixed salad. You'll remember that?
Yes.
Which one is which? These are more academic words to say the same thing.
I think the mixed salad is the second one.
Yes.
Acculturate.
Yeah. Acculturate. Can you say that? Acculturate.
Acculturate.
Yeah, that's right. And assimilate means you lose your culture or your
Background.
differences and your background to join the main group. Yep. So if you come to live in Australia and you wear Australian clothes and you speak English and you forget about all your home country culture, then this is assimilating. Yep.
Give up our culture and give up your culture.
That's right. And acculturate is adapting but keeping your cultural things. So what might Chinese people keep, Mac, when they come to Australia?
Chinese food.
Yeah, the food. So we've got Chinese restaurants. That's great for Australia, and it's great for the Chinese people who are living in Australia. What else would you keep?
Like language.
Yeah, your language. It's fine to speak different languages. You'll hear lots of different languages on the streets. So that is acculturating the mixed
Traditional
salad.
clothes as well.
Yeah, traditional clothes. What are Bangladeshi traditional clothes?
Bangladeshi,
They're quite colourful, no?
colorful, they sometimes in home they like to wear lungi, pan.
Oh yeah, those loose kind of wrap
Yeah,
pants. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, clothes, that's part of it. Religion, all those cultural things. Music. So acculturating in this context is about the style you keep from your education and when you come to another country. Okay, last one, thinking on your feet. What do you think this one means?
Second way. Think and go.
Yeah, think and go.
Think and go.
Very nice. Thinking quickly. When, in an IELTS test, for example, when do you have to think on your feet?
Right.
The writing test?
Also,
Yeah, you get a bit of time.
Reading.
The
I think
listening.
I think the listening.
Yeah, you've got to think
Listening.
quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But
No time.
I think the speaking, if
No, I don't think. It's the pen.
in the end of the speaking, if the the IELTS examiner is asking you questions, and you've just got to quickly think of your, what's my opinion? I
Brainstorm
don't
all
know.
this stuff.
Quickly give an answer.
Yeah.
This is thinking on your feet. Quick thinking. Okay, let's move on to the more difficult part, which is understanding the article. So on the handout, we've just laid out the parts. We've got an introduction, we've got a method. It's a fairly typical kind of research article. Some findings, a summary, and some suggestions. So we'll go through each one step by step. Okay, so in the introduction, the first thing the writers give is the purpose of the article. You can see I've just highlighted that in orange. Look at the bottom of the first paragraph there.
Yes.
He says, the article is to help the lecturers in America understand the overseas students. It's kind of a help us, help you situation. So that's the aim of the article. And the definitions after that, the next paragraph, there's several definitions of a learning style. In your mind, what is a learning style?
Mine.
Yeah,
Learning
well,
style.
in your
Is-
opinion, what would that be?
In my opinion, I think the learning style is about the way you can gain the information
Yes.
and understanding and analyze information correctly.
Yes.
Some of them, or some people, they have different talents or different skills, and they use them in different ways to gain the information. I believe some staff or some students, they prefer to take the information from the lecturer
Mhm.
by his way,
Yep.
but to understand it by the ways, the background, the place how they studied or this stuff, the way of learning.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, way of learning. That's a
Yeah.
that's a good summary. So if we look at that section, there's a few key words. One definition says the preference of the students, so what they like in their
Preference,
study
yeah.
environment. Another one says the behaviour of students. That's in the middle paragraph there. You can see it says cognitive and effective behaviour, so their emotions and the way they learn information. So basically, as Zahir said, it's how students learn and interact with their teachers and their classroom and all of these things. And there's several different styles. You said theory, learning by theory. Some people prefer to learn by touching and doing things in a practical way. Okay, and the end of the introduction, it's not particularly important. It just talks about the previous studies. So what other researchers in this area have done in the past. One issue is, should the students or the instructors change their style? We'll talk more about that later. And different studies have shown that different students have different preferences. Some like interaction, some like having a close relationship with teachers, working with numbers, learning through listening, etc. And the final study, which is just on this page, talks about Asian students overseas, and they were struggling with auditory learning. What does that mean, auditory learning?
Auditory?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Learning through listening.
Through the sounds.
Yeah, so they studied some Asian students who were struggling in Canada with the lectures and the note-taking and answering questions in class, all of the listening-related skills they were finding difficult. Okay, that's previous studies. Let's move on to this study. So the methods is the next section in the article there. You don't need to know all the details, but who did they research is always important in research reports. So who did they research? Who did they study?
Who did? It's AC.
Some groups research.
Oh, the people who did the research, the writers, but who did they study? Which people did they talk to?
The international students.
Yeah, and where were they?
We're in America.
In America, and how many do we know?
No.
35 interns.
It's 35.
Okay,
No,
35
no,
students.
they. Okay.
Yeah, so they studied 35 international students in US Business University. They were MBA students. You can see
And
this
they
table here has a
have a
breakdown of those students. So if you quickly look there, were they more males or females?
Male.
Okay, so we can see 71% of the respondents were male. And what about the nationalities?
Different nationalities.
There are several.
Right.
but
Yeah. Nationalities.
What's the dominant nationality?
It's Taiwanese.
Yeah, so it's almost half of them were
Yeah.
from Taiwan. There's other Malaysians, Chinese,
Singapore, the lowest.
The lowest
So
one.
again, a lot of Asian students they were studying.
All of them actually.
And how did they do the research? They gave them this thing, the Canfield's Learning Style Inventory. And just at
Dictionary.
this paragraph here, it says it's a self-report questionnaire. So they gave them a questionnaire to find out what learning style they have and their preferences in learning. All right, so the method, pretty simple. Okay, let's go to the page on the handout there. And moving on to the findings in the article. So where it says learning style preferences, this is the results of their research. Okay, the first finding was most of the students they studied, their past experience in their country was of what style?
Traditional one.
The lecture style.
Lecture
So
style.
this is like part one from
Yeah.
situation one from our
It's
handout.
something compulsory. It's not optional. So they have to learn through the teacher's style, not by
Yeah,
their style.
large classes, receiving information from the teacher, just memorising it. So most of them, and you can see in table 2, the mode of learning in their home country.
Yeah.
So how many of them came from a lecture background?
80%.
Yeah, 80%. So most of them had a lot of experience with part 1. However, the researchers found that the preferred learning style was opposite to their home country. They all preferred direct experience. You can also see that down here. The mode of learning that they have now or they like is direct experience. In this table, the lowest number means the higher percentage.
Okay.
Because they probably do a questionnaire, number 1, number 10, and 1 is the preferred one. So the lower number is the higher. So they actually prefer direct experience. What about you? Do you have a preference for the opposite style to your country or the same style? So Mac, you're from a lecture background.
Yeah.
You prefer which way of learning?
Prefer Australian style.
And what's that?
There's many. There's a lot of communication with teachers, and we can share the information. I think it's a better way than the lecture style in China.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Abdul, you prefer the home country style?
Yeah,
yourself?
the lecture. No. I prefer the direct experience from the course. Direct.
Like practical,
Yes.
doing the things. All right, we'll talk more about that soon. The other finding they had there, most students had a neutral learning style. Now, so we'll spend a little bit of time. This is a summary of what they found about their learning style. And we've got social applied, social conceptual, applied, neutral, etc., etc. So what do you think social means in terms of learning style?
Social means culture, to promote
Social.
cultural things.
Cultural things? No, it's, I think a bit different.
Social, I think they used maybe different style through maybe the social.
Well, if you look at the other end, we've got social at this end and we've got independent at the other end. So what do you think that's referring to?
I think for yourself, social, I think you learn through the social, the media, or I think the culture, and independent you learn by
Not from a
yourself.
system.
I think so.
Not independent, not freedom. Like.
Yeah, it's like, do I like learning by myself?
Yeah, by yourself.
Or do I want to talk with other people?
Yeah.
So social means I like group work, I like talking, communication. Independent means I just want to focus by myself and learn. Where do you fit into that area, Mac?
Me, social.
You're more social? Me, I'm probably more independent.
Half and half.
Half and half?
Half and
Depends
half. Yeah. I
the
prefer
situation.
sometimes sit by myself.
Yes, I support social because we sit in a group, we can share our ideas and opinions.
Yeah, learning from
No
other
extra,
people.
no less.
Certainly. And then the other aspect is we've got applied conceptual. So what do you think applied means?
Conceptual applied.
Something.
I don't know.
For something.
Applied basically means using something.
Yeah.
And concept, what's a concept?
Concept, it's concept, I don't know. Concept is the thing, there's concept. Concept is concept.
Idea of something.
An idea.
Concept is idea, it's something you're working.
So conceptual means the theory, the idea. So I want to study the theory and the ideas in a textbook from the lecturer, and that's how I like to learn. But other students want to apply means doing it, actually doing the skill. So for example, if I'm an accountant, are you studying anyone in
No.
accounting?
No.
Right, so I can study the theory from the book, from the lecturer, or I can study the practical, hands-on, applied style. What would we do in class, maybe, if we're doing applied accounting?
Numbers, something with numbers.
Yeah,
Applied accounting.
yeah. Here's the account book.
Yeah.
Let's practice putting
It's
the
account.
numbers in there. Or you might use the software. Here's a computer, everyone get on a computer and let's learn how to use this small business software, accounting software.
Maybe from computer software.
Yeah, so actually practicing how to do the accounting. And for medicine, what was the applied thing?
Patient.
Yes, treating patients, practicing cutting things, and yeah. So that is applied. So social applied means I like the practical side in a group and talking about it. I might be independent applied, I like doing it, but I like doing it by myself. Yeah.
Debate applied.
So you can think, where do you fit into this scale?
And what about the neutral?
Oh, okay, good point, because most of them were neutral. In fact, 22% of them, almost 1/4 of them were neutral. What does neutral mean in general?
Like both sides.
Yeah, neutral means I'm in the middle and I'm not going with this side and I'm not going with that side. So, most of them were in the neutral group, and we'll talk later about maybe what that means. Okay, and the summary is simply repeating some of those things really. So they found that the students liked to study things they're interested in. So they don't want to study something their parents tell them to, they want to study stuff that they really like. And most of them wanted a warm personal relationship with their teachers. What the hell does that mean?
Warm.
A warm
Warm is a
relationship.
different meaning.
It's a huggy, friendly.
Friendly.
It's different.
Nice.
Mac and I have a warm personal relationship.
More than a wall.
More. Aircon button.
Just cute.
So we know each other's name, we can talk about study, we can talk about other things happening. This is, I guess,
Love relation.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the teachers. Is this important to you, and is this normal in your country, Abdul?
Yes, it's normal.
It's normal in Bangladesh. The teachers know your name, and
Yes, teachers know
Yeah,
names,
friendly.
Friends know names.
okay. Is that important for study then?
Yes, it's important. If I need some help from teachers, and if I go his house for something extra, and if he knows me, he will accept me with one, and he will help me. He will try to help me.
You go to your teacher's house,
Yeah, sometimes I go to his
Oh, yeah?
house.
have a drink, or chill out.
Not for the
Not
things, for the extra, we need some extra.
Oh yeah, oh that's good. Yeah, that's a very,
Well,
very
some of
personal
them are
relationship. Is that important?
Some
to you?
teachers, I think, yeah, it's good. But not to go out like, I think it depends on the teacher. Some of them, they're very friendly, so they allow you like to call them, to have their contact number, to hang out, to chill, just but in the limits,
All right.
It's not like you're actually like you're married. Or your body.
Married. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully
Not your
not.
body, I mean your body.
Okay, right, moving on to C there. Most of these students like doing things involving people. So it might have been selling, teaching, things where they can communicate. And most of them like the practical, direct style, where they can look at examples, they can touch them. Is that important for you, Matt? Or do you like practical learning?
Yeah.
This one, study content directly.
Yeah, yes. Practical.
Yeah, it's sometimes you get confused by theory. It's just good to do it right. Okay, and a couple of last findings. E and F these students imitated their teachers' work habits. What might that be, do you think?
Students tend to imitate the teacher's work habits. To do like the same, I think to copy them or
Yeah,
To
in
follow
what
them.
area maybe?
in their areas. I think it's the way they want to like.
So the dress style?
No. No, I don't mean this. I mean the way the lecturer like speak, the way the lecturer teach, the way the lecturer behave, how they reach the point, and set the point to them. I think they're trying because it's going to be useful for them in the future as well.
Oh, maybe, but what if the lecturer has bad habits? Like they're always
Just
late
get rid
or...
of, just get rid of it and just pick the
pick the good things.
Yeah, pick the good things.
Like this one. Yeah, so maybe it's about punctuality, maybe it's about being organised, how they talk even, if they copy them. Okay, and the final finding in the summary section was that the students, they all had very high expectations for their scores. They're all trying to get an A, basically. Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah.
Will you be-
Motivation, get your motivation. I think.
Aim high, and then
Yeah.
if you get
Always
close,
get
that's
your
good.
aim high, and you'll be like close to it, or just you did it. Just
You won't be disappointed.
Yeah,
if you-
exactly.
Okay, all right. So now going back to the neutral style, the writers think this could mean two things. Number one, the students are very adaptable. They've learned different styles in America, in their home country, and they can adjust easily. However, they're worried that it means, I've just got highlighted there, a degree of non-involvement. So the students don't really care. or they're not interested so much in their studies. So
The materials, you mean?
yeah, so the writers were not sure what the neutral thing meant. Maybe it means they're flexible, maybe it means they're not interested.
Yes,
They didn't find that out in the questionnaire. Okay, and finally, their findings agree with this guy Cheng, who said that the international students need to become familiar with the more freedom in America. They've got a lot of free time, they've got a lot of time outside class, and they've got to do things by themselves.
Socialize.
And also skills for problem solving and finding information, not memorisation. So they're coming from a lecture memorisation background and they're needing to adapt to finding things by themselves, online, in the library, wherever, and solving problems.
to go directly in new places and find from internet.
Yeah.
They don't need to memorize things.
Yeah, so the lecturers might teach them how to do it. You go and do it by yourself.
By yourself.
They won't give them everything they need to
It's a
memorise.
good way.
And that's
Being
similar.
independent.
Yeah, be independent learning, and that's similar to Australia in that way. Okay, the last section, probably the most important, is the suggestions for helping for the lecturers how to help the international students. And we'll just run through these quickly. Number one, a culture aid, don't assimilate students. So don't expect them to change completely, just help them get used to the new style. Join a university club. Why would that be good? What are the benefits of joining a club?
Like it's join like different, like the native people, you know, the local people.
Learn the language.
Yeah, learn their language, their habits, some of their like culture.
Yeah, feel comfortable in
Yeah.
the society. That's a good one. So that's something for you guys to think about too. Teach students about plagiarism and how to avoid it. So the article gives a couple of examples of cultural differences. Like in
Yeah.
some cultures, it's okay, it's normal.
It
You
says
shouldn't
about
change
China,
the words.
China, about China, I think.
Yeah.
It says they're allowed to do it.
Yeah, it says it's disrespectful to
Yeah,
change the
disrespectful.
authorities' words.
What original word.
That's the top of the last page there. But in America, you have to make sure the students understand you must change the words, you must learn how to paraphrase, etc. So cultural differences might exist. Next piece of advice, C, introduce slowly how to participate in the classroom. So don't expect the students to be
Like,
great at shouting out the answers and talking confidently in class like you guys are doing now. Slowly, and part of that is how the teacher responds.
this says about the teacher now.
Mm.
It's the
They
class
should encourage
person.
students.
Yeah.
to answer the question.
Yeah, you got to be positive,
Positive.
Like
encourage
question.
the students. If they say something silly, don't say, "Wow, that is a stupid thing to say." You know.
Don't laugh
Exactly.
at him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is what the teacher will say. Says.
Yeah.
Question them and let them answer freely.
D, teach students to think on their feet. So practice quick thinking. After they become more comfortable, do some quick thinking activities. Explain the teaching methods being used. So why are we doing this? Is it beneficial for you? Why is it beneficial? If it's different for them, explain why you might do it. For example, we might tell you why you can only speak English in class, why we're working in groups, and what
Explain
benefits.
details.
Yeah.
Explain in
Yeah.
details.
The reasons and the benefits. Okay, now the next part was interesting. This is the idioms, which is in the middle paragraph there. Don't use idioms was the advice to the teacher. What are idioms?
It is like slang, like street language.
Yeah, slang,
Double-edged sword.
basically. Double-edged sword, yeah, that was from yesterday's example. The example in here was, one of them was get out of here,
Figurative.
which literally means get out of here.
Get out.
But if someone says that to you in Australia, what do they mean?
They are like angry.
Get lost?
Get
Yeah, but that's the real meaning, get out of here. But if I say to you, get out of here, Mac.
Save it.
No,
Save it. Knock it off.
get out of it, like it. Like it. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's just
You play for the Saudi Arabian soccer team, the national team, get out of here.
it's not disrespect the man in front of you.
It just means I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to say that word in here though. So basically, I don't believe you. That's just one example in the article. And this is important, I think, because the international students might learn standard English, and of course they don't know all the slang, so we have to think about what they are understanding. Okay, G, they recommend that the lecturers have a separate meeting outside class with the international students only. Talk about some of these things. What is good to do in the classroom? It's okay to, give your opinion. And H, it's okay to disagree with the teacher. The teacher is not God in America. Do you feel comfortable with that, disagreeing with the teacher if you think your teacher is saying something wrong?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
yes, of course.
You would feel
Yeah,
comfortable
but
saying,
you
Annette, that is rubbish.
No, it's in the
It's
limit.
not rubbish.
It's to a limit. That is, they're right. Always right, because there's like a material. They have a material and they're gonna give it to you.
They're always right.
They're always right. Not for UPC too, but this is the reality. But sometimes, in some points, maybe they follow with their culture, so I have to respect them. Like in my opinion, it's wrong, but I have to follow it.
So would you say
No, it's
in the
impossible.
class?
It's
or-
impossible. It's disrespectful. Always right or wrong, keep it to yourself. Just get rid of what you want and
Talk about it after class or something. Yeah, so they're saying it's all right to disagree with the teacher. They're not perfect. That's normal in America. Okay, and finally, at the start of the course, in the first few days, give very clear information. So the students are not confused. They're not guessing about, plagiarism they talk about, cheating, punctuality, independent learning, so doing things by yourself, because it might be different in their culture and the American culture. Let's not play guessy games. Let's all be very clear about it. So that's their advice to the lecturers. Pretty good advice, I think. Okay, let's just wrap up by having a few discussion questions at the end. What's important here for international students, do you think, in Australia, for example? Is there anything useful coming out of here?
to be totally independent.
To be independent? Yeah.
Independent. It's this one piece of that advice actually, and the other stuff is about chilling, be socialized, all this stuff.
Okay, get
Social-
involved in the
Yeah,
society.
get involved, just find new friends.
Join
Be-
a club. Yeah.
Join a club. Yeah.
Have you joined any clubs in
Saturday,
Australia?
Friday,
Just go to the gym, join a basketball class,
Yeah.
or whatever you like. Try to get involved. Abdul, how might you need to change in the next 10 weeks during this course, obviously? Do you need to change anything from
Yes,
your
I
learning
need to
style?
make
or-
friends with the native speakers. I need to close to him when I ever can.
What about in terms of learning style in the classroom? Is there anything
I need
you
to be
find
punctual
different?
and
Be punctual.
yes, and I have to listen carefully and ask questions
Ask questions.
and also response with a question. Respond so quickly.
Okay.
Response is important.
Mac, have any?
Yeah, for me, it's do the homework every day.
Do the homework?
Yes, and follow teachers' orders.
What? You must.
Yes. I think
Call it
it's the-
advice.
Yeah. Simple as you.
Yeah, and going back to the question at the start about who should change, what do you think? Should the teachers change to adjust to the students, or is it up to the students to change to the culture in America or the teaching style in Australia? Who has responsibility?
I think teachers should and also students they both have responsibility to change their habit, how to control international students,
Okay.
how to and international should learn how to adopt new rules in America, how to adopt new culture and this kind of thing.
So both parties should try to change,
Yes.
be flexible.
In one side we cannot do from one side we cannot do perfectly. We need both sides.
Yeah, good. Do you agree with that, Zoe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
All right, last question. It's always good to think about, well, this is part of critical thinking, is this research and this article what do you think of the research? Is it useful research? Is it good research?
I think it,
Do you have any opinions about it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that maybe they could have done better, or, for example, how many? 35 students is not
Not
many.
that
Yes.
much,
Yes.
but you can find like a problem,
Yeah.
find a solution
Yeah,
for this
from
like,
a small
like,
group.
small group.
Mhm.
And you try like to just to how do you call it, to adapt rules,
Yeah.
you know, and the process for the large group. So after a while, when there is like a huge number of students
Mhm.
or like international students, you can't deal with them because you know the rules, how is the process, how to fix this, which style you need now, which technique you need to get them or to encourage them.
Yeah, we can learn a lot from a small group. I just think it would be interesting if they expanded this to like 1,000 students
Yeah.
from more nationalities and not just studying business but studying different things.
They will
What
find, I
would
think,
they
more
find
like
out?
a huge number.
It might be interesting. Yeah, overall, very helpful, I think, for the teachers and the students.
It's good sometimes like to find solutions for like small problems.
Mhm.
For this small problems, maybe you could control major problems because if you put these small problems together, you can lead whatever you want from this point. This is what I believe actually, because usually people always try to find that solution only with the major problems,
Yeah.
but sometimes they can die from the small problems.
Yep.
Yes.
But when they get that massive actually,
Mhm.
they try to think on the photo. They're trying to find solution, but it's not gonna be easy for them
Mm.
because always it's good to solve the problem when they like in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, just don't keep it, just repeat it,
Sure.
and then when
Becomes a big problem.
yeah, exactly.
You're a very wise man, Zahir.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for joining me. Give these guys a clap, they were fantastic.